welcome to crazyforcars.com. I'm your host, Steve Gray, and this week we're coming to you from Cecil County, Maryland, Cecil County Dragway. This place is an institution. This has been around since the early 60s. The very first event was raced here in April of 1963. This track has seen super stock cars, pro mod cars, front engine dragsters, slingshots, all the old stuff. There's been a lot of records set at this track over the years. There's been a lot of big names set at this track too. Today we're going to be looking at cars that are mostly show cars, but a lot of really fast cars as well. The cars that are racing here today, people are building in their backyards and in garages after work on weekends in the evenings, building cars that are running in the 7s versus cars that were factory sponsored running in the 11s and 12s back in the 60s. This is the naturally aspirated drag racing in Cecil County. There's no turbos, no superchargers, no nitrous, no bottles, no power adders of any kind. This is real motor racing. And we'll be back right after this. I told you we were going to look at some older cars today and some newer cars. This is kind of a combination of both. They look like older cars on the outside, but they're newer cars on the inside. I'm not even going to try to guess at what the years and stuff is. I've got the owners here of a set of bookends. I called them earlier. He said they're his and hers. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. Tell us your name and where you're from.
Larry Gilbert, Elkton, Maryland.
Mary Lou Gilbert, Elkton, Maryland.
And what year are the Corvettes?
They're both 57s.
57s. What have you done to them?
Well, this one here was about 70% done when I purchased it. Chromed it up to all the engine and just put a lot of parts on it that was missing. This one was pretty rough when we bought it. I had to redo it completely. We did a body on restoration and put a new engine in it and had it painted and we're ready to go with it.
Now I see on here it says his and hers, his on one windshield, hers on the other windshield. This is the one, this is the one you drive most of the time?
Yeah, I drive this one all the time. She drives this one. I bought this one like 3 years ago. This one was for her 57th birthday.
Okay, tell us a little bit about this one. What motor's in it? What transmission?
It's got a 305 91 Corvette tuned port injection. Has a turbo 400 transmission in it.
Now I've got the other half of the his and hers with me here too. We're going to let you tell us a little bit about your car.
It's a small block engine. It's a 336 4-speed transmission. I love to drive it. A lot of fun.
Now the 4-speed, that's a little bit more fun to drive than the automatic.
It is.
Now we were talking before the camera started, and this car is having a birthday today. It's 1 year since it's been on the road.
Since it's been finished.
That's really neat. The quality, the finish on both of these cars is fantastic. Now I know because I see these cars at a lot of local shows. I saw these cars at Fox Run we were looking at a couple of weeks ago on the TV show. I saw these here at that show. I know they get driven. I know they didn't get trailered here, but they look trailer quality cars. These are really, really gorgeous cars. The paint, the finish, the chrome, the bright work, everything's gorgeous. I want to thank you very much for bringing them out. Thanks for showing them to us today.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Hi, now we're going to look at something a little bit different from the two Corvettes we just looked at. We've looked at some like almost stock restored cars. This one's more of the race car fitting the track that we're at. I've got the owners here. Tell us your names and tell us where you're from.
Carl.
Donna.
Moore.
Where you from?
Wilmington, Delaware.
Wilmington, Delaware, right back home. Now, you've been working on this car for a while.
8.5 years.
That's definitely a while.
Yeah.
Tell us, if you've been working on it that long, you know everything about it. Tell us a little bit about the car.
Well, it's got a 427 with a 2-speed power glide, Ford 9-inch rear. It's a custom mixed paint by Auto Body Services, Wilmington, Delaware. It's got tweed and leather interior by JK Specialties here in Elkton, Maryland. That's about it.
Now we were talking about, I just mentioned the paint, the stripes buried in the clear. A lot of times after the car is painted, the stripes applied after it's done. And when you go back and you polish, you wax the car and maintain the car, you'll get a white wax or polish edge where the two paint lines meet. With this buried in the clear, if you were to actually touch the car, and you probably break your fingers, but you wouldn't feel the stripe at all. It's actually built right down into the paint. Now, what size motor is it?
427.
427. Any power adders on it? Anything on it?
Naturally aspirated.
That's what we're here today for. It's naturally aspirated drags. Now the rear end. Now I see some big tires out back. Is it like a highway gear or is this a race gear?
That's a race gear. I put a 488.
488. So you're over there cruising with the school buses and the dump trucks.
Pretty much.
Hey, it's a gorgeous car. I want the camera to get a lot of footage of this. Thank you very much for bringing it out and showing it to us today.
Thank you.
Hi, if you're just joining us, we're at Cecil County Dragway in Elkton, Maryland, or Cecil County, Maryland, just outside of Elkton, Maryland. We've looked at a couple of cars so far. We've got a couple of GTOs coming up. The first one we've got here, I'm going to look at the cheat sheet, and I'm going to see it's a 66 GTO, and I can see from the three breathers on top, we got a tri-power. I've got the owner here with us. I'll let you introduce yourself. Tell us where you're from.
I'm Jim McCarthy from Bear, Delaware.
Bear, Delaware, another one from right near home. Tell us a little bit about the car.
Well, I've had it 15 years. Originally got it in California. It's a Arizona car. It's pretty much a hot rod. It's got a 455 out of a 73 GTO. The tri-power is out of a 65. Rear end's actually a Camaro, 12-bolt. So it's pretty much hot rod, but tried to maintain the look of a stock GTO.
Well, from out where this car came from, there had to have been like no rust to contend with when you're putting the car together.
Hopefully, and hopefully there still is none.
This is now. What are the differences? I know there was just the few body styles. What now? The 66. This was like the second generation, right?
Right. The 64, 65 were pretty much a Le Mans with the GTO option, and 66, as I understood, was the first true GTO. Although a 64 owner wouldn't like that comment, I'm sure. But
Now, I mentioned earlier it's got a tri-power setup. Tell us, for the folks at home that don't know what that is, tell us about what the tri-power setup is.
it's two barrels on there and essentially runs on the center two barrels, so you get decent economy out of it. But then when you hit it and get about 3,000 RPM, it'll open up the other two, and you get about, I think, 900 CFM out of the whole thing.
Well, that's really great. So it's performance and economy in one package. This is a gorgeous car. Thank you very much for bringing it out and showing it to us today.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.